Chief Adam Duhas, Command Master Chief of Submarine Squadron 4, and it's my pleasure to be the Master of Ceremonies for this special occasion. Today, to get started, please help me welcome the Chairman of the Holland Club, Retired Master Chief, John Garcia-Polo.
Good morning. And welcome to the 2025 United States Submarine Veterans Holland Club ceremony. As Adam mentioned, you can just call me John C. You don't have to worry about that last name. This event is the culmination of 7 months of work, preparation and planning by many people, volunteers, sub-base staff, sub-school staff, just a lot of people that put into this. From the start, our goal is to make this ceremony just as significant for our inductees as the day they initially received their dolphins. Some 50 or more years ago, they received their dolphins. This is a very special occasion for all sub-vets as we take this opportunity to recognize, thank, and show our appreciation to 41 of our shipmates, 33 of whom are present on the stage. Hopefully we get 33, we're missing one. By formally inducting them into the prestigious Holland Club. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and privilege to present this year's Holland Club inductees.
How are y'all doing today?
Great.
There you go. You awake to school? Good for you. John, thank you for setting the tone for this ceremony. The Holland Club is an exclusive group within our sub-vets organization where the core requirement for eligibility is designation, qualified in submarines for a minimum of 50 years. It is certainly an honor to be a member of the Holland Club. These men are legends of the submarine force, and this is our salute to our senior shipmates. They, along with all their brothers and sisters of the Finn, are the historic connection to and inspiration for our submariners of the future from Navy Sub School up in the balcony. Let's give them a round of applause. Before we induct the newest Holland Club members, I would ask all Holland Club members to please stand and be recognized. Thank you. One Holland Club member in particular that I would like to sing aloud is Evening 1, Tony Fayella, who qualified in submarines on board the USS Spearfish, SS-190 in 1943. Tony is 102 years old and is here with his wife of 73 years, Betty. Tony and Betty, please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're able, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sing to the national anthem, remain standing for the invitation. Color off. Parade the colors.
Ready, flies up, Chief. Color. say check. Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Forward. March.
The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by James Mosley, and our national anthem will be sung by Master Chief Sheriff Bulger.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Present. Colors.
And salute.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bumpers seen in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Color guard, retire the colors.
Retire the colors out, Master Chief. Color. Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Colors. Colors. Turn. Forward. March.
Subvets Groton-based chaplain Earl Colella will deliver the invocation.
The cover, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us all here safely and for our daily care. Lord, we ask your blessing on all of us here today, especially our Holland Club inductees. Lord, we thank you for the United States submarine veterans and submarine veterans of World War II. May we continue to look for your will in all that we do and say. Now, Lord, we ask you to bless our Holland Club induction service. Give us patience with each other and guide our induction ceremony so it will be of significance to our members and all who witness it here today. Bless our nation and keep it physically and spiritually strong. We dedicate this induction service to our shipmates on eternal patrol. Let us perpetuate their memory in our lives and to honor our shipmates on active duty in the United States Submarine Force. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, James, Chip, Earl, and our color guard from Navy Submarine School, Silver Dolphins. The significance of this event has drawn the attention of dignitaries that are honoring us with their presence this morning. The keynote speaker for today's ceremony, Vice Admiral Bob Gallagher, Commander, Submarine Forces, Connecticut Veterans Affairs Commissioner, Mr. Ron Welch, Mayor Mike Passero, City of New London, Mayor Leonard Burnell, Sr., Town of Montville, Montville Town Council, Tim May, First Selectman Robert Buell, Town of Waterford, Rear Admiral Michael Van Poots, Commander, Undersea Warfighting Development Center. Retired Admiral Bill Murders. Subvets National Commander John James. Subvets Northeast Regional Director Jeff Walsh. The immediate former Subvets National Holland Club Chairman Bud Atkins. Very special welcome and thanks to retired flag officers, commanding officers, chiefs of the boats, command master chiefs, and all other active duty and civilian personnel attending. We are honored by your presence. Most importantly, we welcome all the families of our inductees and thank you for honoring us with your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me a warm welcome to Rear Admiral Michael Van Poots, Commander, Undersea Warfare Development Center.
Good morning. I'm honored to introduce my boss and a great personal mentor, Vice Admiral Goucher, this morning. He is a 1991 graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy. He served on USS Flying Fish, SSN 673, USS Oklahoma City, SSN 723, and USS Maryland, SSPN 738 Blue Crew. He commanded USS City of Corpus Christi and as Commodore, Submarine Development Squadron 5. His flag tours include Director, Maritime Headquarters, U.S. Pacific Fleet, Commander, Submarine Group 9, Task Group 114.3, and Director, Submarine Integration, N2, N6T on the Navy staff. He is currently serving as Commander, Naval Submarine Forces, Commander, Submarine Force U.S. Atlantic Fleet, and Commander, Allied Submarine Command. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sub-Boss.
Good morning, everybody. What a great crowd we have. I did the similar event in Norfolk a week ago, and you have definitely come out in force, and it's great to see some of our sub-school students here to see the history of the submarine force. I did realize as I was doing the math that I am actually closer to the Holland Club than I am to the day I qualified in submarines. So I guess I'll say that's a good thing. So we'll go with that. And a great weekend here in Groton. We got to do the Submarine Squadron 4 change of command yesterday, and the previous time I was here was for the Iowa commissioning. And let me tell you, yesterday on the dais in Iowa was much better than that freezing day in April as we're sitting up there shivering. So it's great to finally be spring here in the Northeast. And it's always a pleasure to get up here to the submarine capital of the world. So again, thanks everybody for coming out. It's a distinct honor to stand here before you today with fellow submariners, submarine veterans, proud families, as we celebrate a momentous occasion, which is the induction of 33 members who are here today, and I think 41 overall in the class, into the esteemed Holland Club. So today we recognize and celebrate the value that our veterans bring to our nation, our Navy, and especially our submarine force. It's a testament to your dedication and commitment that you have each spent over 50 years as qualified submariners, a milestone that deserves our deepest respect and admiration. Members of the United States Submarine Veterans Incorporation are bound by a common thread: your service beneath the waves. The US.SVI Groton base, with its nearly 1,300 members, including 640 distinguished Holland Club members, soon to be 680, stands as a beacon of camaraderie and remembrance. Your organization, comprised of active, retired, reserve, and honorably discharged submariners, carries a vital mission: to perpetuate the memory of our shipmates who gave their lives in service to our country. As we look around the globe today, we face a strategic environment unlike any we've seen before. For the first time since 1945, there's a ground war in Europe involving a nuclear-armed nation. In the Pacific, China's President Xi has made it clear that by 2027, China will be ready to reunite Taiwan by any means necessary. And we face a growing challenge from Russia, a country who has the means to threaten our homeland. These challenges have placed us squarely into what some call the decade of maximum danger. We find ourselves confronted by not one but two nuclear-capable peer competitors in Russia and China. Both countries actively seeking to undermine the rules-based international order that has maintained global stability since the end of World War II. These adversaries do not share our values, and they do not respect national sovereignty. It is our job to stand ready to counter these threats with resolve and strength. And this tasking is not new to the submarine force. In fact, we carry the legacy of the submarine veterans who have gone before us, most notably during the combat patrols of World War II. To highlight this, I'll read you a short letter from Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz on the submarine force's contribution to World War II. Quote, "When I assumed command of the Pacific Fleet on 31 December 1941, our submarines were already operating against the enemy. The only units of the fleet that could come to grips with the Japanese for months to come. It was to the submarine force that I looked to carry the load until our great industrial activity could produce the weapons we so sorely needed to carry the war to the enemy. It is to the everlasting honor and glory of our submarine personnel that they never failed us in our days of peril." End quote. We regularly glorify the successes of our submarines during World War II with their awe-inspiring numbers, completing over 1,400 war patrols, rescuing over 500 airmen, and sinking nearly 1,400 Japanese ships, or over 5 million tons, and accounting for 55% of shipping sunk in the Pacific. We must also recognize that success came with a steep price and required them to overcome hard lessons learned in battle. Starting with the cautious pre-war tactical training and defective torpedoes, the early submarine patrols often returned with disappointing results. In mid-1943, armed with aggressive tactics based on early war experience and, most importantly, improved torpedoes, our force saw an immediate increase in hits and devastated Japanese shipping in 1944, more than tripling the number of ships sunk in 1942 with over 490 ships. We honor the lives of men who gave us everything, who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. We remember the families left behind, the courage it took to serve, the enduring dedication to our mission. And I again quote Fleet Admiral Nimitz from a letter he wrote at the end of World War II. Quote, "We who survived World War II and were privileged to rejoin our loved ones at home salute those gallant officers and men of our submarines who lost their lives in that long struggle. We shall never forget that it was our submarines that held the lines against the enemy while our fleets replaced losses and repaired wounds." End quote. Our submarines continue to remain at the forefront of our strategic deterrent capabilities, and the 41 for Freedom boats built from 1960 to 1966. And yes, that's 41 boats in 7 years. We need that production again today. They completed over 2,500 deterrent patrols and were on station throughout the Cold War. Many of you here today served aboard these very vessels, standing watch during a tense and dangerous period in our history. Your unwavering commitment was a cornerstone of our nation's strategic deterrence. This constant, unwavering presence is the backbone of our strategic deterrence, making up 70% of our nation's strategic deterrent triad and providing 100% of our survivable second strike capability. Today, the importance of the submarine force remains paramount, and we face a complex and evolving global landscape. The Silent Service continues to stand as a vital component of our national defense. Our submarines, with their stealth, endurance, and advanced technology, provide an unparalleled capability to deter aggression and protect our interests. And since I'm doing fairly well on time, I'll deviate from my prepared remarks for a second and let you all know that we are committed to living in the 21st century and producing that technology. And our submarine force today is looking to think 21st century. And for those in the upper rows, know that we're looking to advance robotic and autonomous systems to remove risk and create dilemmas for our adversaries, to use and unleash artificial intelligence, machine learning, and quantum to make our lives easier and our decisions better, to leverage additive manufacturing to take advantage of those capabilities to shore up our weakened supply chains and keep our submarines ready and at sea, and to do the things that we've tried to for decades, which is to communicate with our submarines at speed and depth through advancing cross-domain command and control so we can decide faster and stay in front of our adversaries. So we look to harness all that technology as we want to stay in front of our adversaries, because while we maintain a margin to our adversaries, that margin is constantly contested. So we look to drive that forward in the future. But we have to remember that even with that great technology, technology alone is not enough. It is the brave men and women who serve beneath the waves that make our submarine force the best in the world. And it is you, the inductees into the Holland Club, who have set the standard for excellence. It is fitting that we gather here today at the Groton base, the very first US.SVI base established in 1964, a testament to the enduring legacy of the silent service. The US.SVI takes an active role in our submarine community through participation in basic enlisted submarine school graduation and award ceremonies, submarine officer basic course, and submarine officer advanced course graduations, supporting an Eagle Scout program, visiting local youth at hospitals, maintaining memorial flower beds, awarding scholarships, and rendering honors to submarine veterans who have passed. Your decades of service, your accumulated knowledge, and your unwavering dedication have shaped the submarine force we know today. Our inductees today earned their dolphins between 1964 and 1975, serving on the workhorses of the Cold War, like our 41 for Freedom boats, and the Sturgeon-class SSNs, and the remaining diesel submarines of the Guppy program. We have men here from 10 different states, including a member of the Dallas US.SVI Club who traveled all the way from Panama to be here with us in the submarine capital of the world for this occasion. And then I'd also like to make a special call. So where is Jim Hedke? All right, Jim. So Jim and I are both got our dolphins on USS Flying Fish. I like to call that, I think there's 2 of us left on active duty. Force Master Chief and I like to point out we are both still Sturgeon-class sailors, but there's only a handful of us left on active duty. So good to see a fellow Flying Fish sailor. All right, so to the newest members of our Holland Club, we offer our heartfelt congratulations and gratitude. And we have here today a great group who have come here to celebrate with us. We have those who stand the watch today. We have those who will carry our legacy of success and lethality forward, lining the top rows here. And again, I can't say how glad I am to see some of our sub-school and best students out here today to see this ceremony and celebrate our great legacy of the submarine force. But let us never forget the bravery of those who came before us, and let that bravery fuel our commitment to keep our nation safe, secure, and free. Thank you for your service to our submarine force, the Navy, and this grateful nation. May your legacy continue to inspire generations of submariners to come, and welcome to the Holland Club. Thanks for the opportunity to be here today and to celebrate your 50 years of qualified time as submariners. I regret I have to depart here to catch a flight, but I had to balance it. It's a long flight back to Norfolk with connections, and so my wife said I could come, but I had to be home to do my honey-do list tonight. Anyway, but I will turn it over to the capable hands of Admiral Van Poos and Mike. Thanks for presiding over the remainder of the ceremony. I really appreciate it, and say once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Admiral, thank you so much for being with us and for the great I want to personally thank you again. I'd like to present you the Holland Club coin.
Thank you very much, sir.
And a small token of our appreciation is a copy of the program signed by all the inductees here today.
Wow, that is very nice. I appreciate that. I have a bottle of wine signed by all of our acoustic intelligence specialists, so I will put this right next to it with my office memorial there. So thank you very much.
Take care, Laura.
I would like to introduce Sub-Vet Groton Base Commander Steve Ricard for a few remarks.
We have to fix that step. Yeah, the live ultra done. Welcome everybody. My name is Steve Ricard. I'm the base commander here for Sub-Vet Groton Base. Good morning, shipmates, family, and friends. Welcome to the next milestone in submariner's career, the prestigious Holland Club. 50 years or more of being qualified in submarines. Truly an impressive event. Worth bragging about for the future and today. Tony Fiala qualified in 1943. It's a long time ago, 82 years ago. So with good living, good clean living, which I know 5 or 6 of you probably do practice regularly. You all could make it to 2057, which would be your 82nd anniversary of being inducted into the Holland Club. On behalf of US.SVI Groton Base, I welcome all of you to the Holland Club, especially my shipmates from the Nathaniel Green. It's a special thanks to our great leader, Captain Kerry Gentry. Captain Gentry's been a guiding force in helping us reach this milestone, and for being here today to present them with their certificates. So, Captain, thank you very much for doing that. I'd like to thank John Carcipola and his Holland Club committee for the 7 months of planning they put into this event to make it a huge success. I'd also like to thank the Naval Submarine Base in New London, Naval Submarine School for all the time and effort to put into this day's events and all the events that you guys help us out throughout the year. So again, thank you very much for your support. So today is your day. Enjoy it. Renew friendships, travel down memory lane, and above all, thank the ones that helped you get here today. So, thank you. Congratulations.
Now the moment we've all been waiting for, the induction of the Holland Club Class of 2025. Reading biographies will be Chief Meteorologist from WTNH Channel 8 News, Mr. Gil Simmons. Mr. Simmons is a veteran and served the United States Marine Corps as a meteorologist and oceanographer, forecasting weather conditions all over the world from 1990 to 1996. Admiral Van Poots will be making the presentations, assisted by retired Command Master Chief and past Sub-Vets National Holland Club Chairman Bud Atkins. The presentation will be presented by retired Captain and former Commanding Officer of the USS Nathaniel Green, Kerry Gentry. At this time, I would like to invite the families and friends to feel free to come forward and take pictures during the ceremony. Literally, okay, just come wherever you want. All good, okay? Gil Simmons, Bud Atkins, and Captain Gentry, please join me on the stage.
I didn't trip.
a distinct honor to be here today. And before I joke around, I did want to take this moment. 81 years ago yesterday, it's the anniversary of D-Day. And I was talking to Tony, who was out at sea during that time. And I think it would be appropriate that we all pause for a moment of silence and remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice, whether it's 81 years ago or whether it was this year. Let's do that now. As we say, freedom is not free, so thank you. Now I can lighten it up a little bit. When I was in boot camp, Parris Island, South Carolina, 1990, we used to sing something like this. Hey, hey, Navy, get in your subs and follow me. I am the USMC. So I've been waiting many years to sing that in front of all of you. And yes, as a couple people already commented, I am not wearing my television makeup today, and a few people seemed a little let down with that. I was a meteorologist, oceanographer. I also took liberty with a lot of you sailors. Very fun times. I was on the USS Tisdale, USS Princeton, USS Nassau, and the USNS Sioux. So I did have a lot of out-to-sea time. I did get my shell back, which was a lot of fun. I also got my blue nose north of the Arctic Circle, which was a lot of fun on the flight deck of the USS Nassau in my whitey tighties. Yes. Being sprayed with seawater as the flakes were flying. It was snowing at that time. And underway we had 40-foot seas. But you people don't care about that. You are under those 40-foot seas. What's seasickness? You don't even deal with it. But on a serious note, it does give me a distinct honor to be here today. I'll give you a little background on News 8. Weather is done with no teleprompter. I don't read a damn thing. So, if I mess up today, feel free to correct me with this strong crowd right here. I am going to do my best. And as I mentioned, it is a true honor to be here. I also want to give a shout out to the base commander today, and also General Welch, who is here, Connecticut Department of Veteran Affairs, and also those of you, it was very moving to hear the leaders of towns who are here as well. I do events throughout the entire year, and I'm always amazed at how many people that do not participate in veteran events with people like this group right here who deserve the highlight in sacrifice they have made so our country continues as beautiful as it is. And I want to give a shout out as well to all the young people up top. Make us proud. Be on time and do the best you can every single day. You may have tough times now, but you'll see in the future, these are some of the best years of your life. It may not seem like it at times, but I guarantee you will say that in the future. All right, like I said, I don't use teleprompter, so let's see. Let me get my spot here. Okay, the following inductees could not attend today, unfortunately. YNCS SSDV David R. Aiken, qualified in submarines in 1974 on board USS Tang SS 563. Douglas Del Biondo, qualified in submarines in 1972 on board USS Archerfish, SSN 678. And as I mentioned, if I mess these up, please tell me. I want to make sure they are said correctly. ET-2SS, John P. Held, qualified in submarines 1974. On board USS Billfish, SSN 676. Okay, I see highlighter on the script. Let's see how I do. CS-3SS, William B. Konakowicz. I think I got it close. Qualified in submarines in 1964. On board USS Kazimierz Pulaski, SSBN 633. ETCS-SS, Robert C. Stevens, qualified in submarines in 1975 on USS Guitarro, SSN 665. MSC-SS, Robert Walker, qualified in submarines in 1974 on board USS Sam Rayburn, SSBN 635. FTB-2SS, John R. Wallace, qualified in submarines in 1964 on board USS Jaleo, SS 368. PN-3SS, Richard E. Wojciech, qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Benjamin Franklin, SSBN 640. And now, for the 33 inductees who are actually here, who will be offended if I mess their names up, are right here on the stage. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. Okay. All right. Bud Atkins will be assisting the Admiral for the first inductee. Bud was Stan Miller's chief of the boat on board USS Michigan, SSBN 727. RM-1SS Stanley D. Miller. Stan joined our Navy in 1974. His first boat was USS Alexander Hamilton, SSBN 617. After his initial assignment to mess cooking, he transferred to the radio division and qualified in submarines in 1975. Stan tells us that one day while he was on duty as a radio man of the watch, the radio room door buzzer rang several times. Stan opened the door and found himself face to face with the father of the nuclear navy. And he almost fainted. Stan invited him in and gave him the message boards to read. As he left, Admiral Rickover thanked Stan and stepped out, and Stan breathed a huge sigh of relief. Stan Miller also served in USS Tang, SS 563. USS Michigan, SSBN 727. USS Helena, SSN 725. And finally, USS Honolulu, SSN 718, where he was awarded a Navy Achievement Medal for being the best Link 11 operator in the entire Pacific Fleet. Stan Miller, shore duty assignments included U.S. Naval Communications Station, Nîmes Macri, Greece. That had to be tough. And 2 separate tours at Commander, Submarine Force Pacific. Stan Miller retired from active duty in 1995. Stan Miller is a life member of Sub Vets Dallas base, and he traveled all here today. Shipmate Miller, welcome to the Holland Club. Captain Kerry Gentry will be assisting the Admiral for the next 5 inductees. He was commanding officer of USS Nathaniel Green, SSBN 636, when these 5 shipmates qualified in submarines. ETN-2 SS Patrick E. Boyle. Patrick joined our Navy in 1971. He is from a Navy family. His uncle, Phil Daly, retired as a chief boatswain's mate. And after serving in 3 wars, World War II, Korea, and also Vietnam, and a cousin, Phil Boyle, was a plank owner on USS Nautilus. Patrick volunteered for nuclear power and submarines, hoping that the Navy could tolerate one more nuclear-trained Boyle on submarines. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Nathaniel Green, SSBN 636. He was honorably discharged in 1977. Pat recalls a conversation with the Green's engineer officer, Lieutenant Commander Mike Singleton, as a typical 20-something know-it-all who knows nothing. Boyle gave him a smart aleck answer to a question. Lieutenant Commander looked at him in the eye, shook his head, and said, "Boyle, you're never going to amount to anything in life." After leaving the Navy, Boyle became a firefighter and retired as Chief of Department. Not satisfied, he then earned a law degree and became an associate professor at a New Jersey Law University, retiring a second time as department chairman. At biannual crew reunions over the years, Boyle and Singleton became good friends. When Boyle reminded him of that conversation, once again, Singleton looked at him in the eye and shook his head, but this time smiled and said, "I guess I was wrong." Patrick Boyle is grateful for the mentorship of Captain Kerry Gentry and Lieutenant Commander Mike Singleton on the Green. By their example and demand for excellence and a simple remark one afternoon, Boyle was motivated to achieve greater things and greater things. Looking back at his years in the Navy, he summarizes the lesson. When someone tells you you're stupid, you actually work harder. Patrick Boyle is a regular member of Subvet's Groton base. Shipmate Boyle, welcome to the Holland Club. And that should be an example for all you up there as well. When somebody tells you you can't do it, that should elevate the motivation to actually do it. Up next, STS-2 SS Arthur D. Fauver Jr. Denny enlisted in our Navy after graduating from high school in June of 1974, seeking construction battalion. He was told in boot camp that the Seabees were closed, but was offered submarine duty. On graduation day of Basic Enlisted Submarine School, he reported to USS Nathaniel Greene, SSBN 636, where he served for the next 5 years. Then he qualified in submarines in 1975 and had his Dolphins pinned on during the flight home after his first strategic deterrent patrol. While aboard the Greene, then he struck for sonar technician, achieving the rank of STS-2 SS. After 5 years aboard the Greene, he received shore duty orders back to Naval Submarine School, where he served in the Sonar Trainer Division. He was honorably discharged in 1981 and returned home to Louisiana. Arthur Denny Faber is a regular member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Faber, welcome to the Holland Club. STSCS SS Barry F. Gillen. Barry joined our Navy in 1970. He volunteered for the submarine service while in boot camp and attended Sonar Technician A School in the early 70s. Although he never attended Basic Enlisted Submarine School, he qualified in submarines in 1974 on his first strategic deterrent patrol on board the Greene. He eventually made 14 such patrols over 2 tours and made rate 11 times. He was very proud of eventually making senior chief, even if he had to wear red hash marks. He also served on board USS Archerfish SSN 678. Barry Gillen retired from the Navy in 1990. He recalls making many lifelong friends in the submarine community. His sense of camaraderie, work ethic, and attention to detail are a direct reflection of the men who trained him and worked for him during his career. Barry never misses an opportunity to tell others about the submarine community and what a privilege it was to be a part of it. Barry Gillen is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Gillen, welcome to the Holland Club. ET-1SS Ronald G. Giuliani. When Ron joined our Navy, he was at a transition point in his life with an associate's degree and a wife. He was ready to continue his education. When Ron visited his uncle, a personal hero who was a chief flying radioman known for his service as Hurricane Hunter, that's cool, and advice was finish your degree before considering the service. However, with a mind of his own, you know where this is going, Ron joined our Navy in 1972. During boot camp, he received a belated acceptance from Southern Illinois University, complete with married housing. However, his course had been set, and he never looked back. He started out in surface ships and served aboard USS Manitowoc, LST 1180, and briefly USS Fairfax County, LST 1193, before attending the Nuclear Power Training Pipeline and volunteering for submarine duty. He was assigned to the USS Nathaniel Greene, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. Ron completed 7 strategic deterrent patrols, then was honorably discharged in 1978. Ron recalls the camaraderie and teamwork he learned on the green, where he and his shipmates forged strong bonds while operating and maintaining the complex equipment of a nuclear-powered submarine. He is especially grateful for the support of role models and mentors who believed in his actual potential and helped grow into a person that he is today. Ron specifically recognizes Steve Ricard, Master Chiefs Waterman and Cordazzi Frederick Hooker, Patrick Ferranto, Jim Klinger, and Pat Boyle, and his first commanding officer, Kerry Gentry, who were all instrumental in fostering his growth as a sailor and also as a leader. These days, Ron strives to pay it forward by mentoring others in his current endeavor. Ron Giuliani is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Giuliani, welcome to the Holland Club. RM3 SS James Lavoie. James joined our Navy in 1965. He qualified in submarines in 1967 on board USS Nathaniel Greene. He also served on board USS Trumpetfish SS-425. James was honorably discharged in 1968. He recalls, "We were heading home from a long strategic deterrent patrol on the Nasty Net. Things were going hot, straight normal, until they got a ZIA, an urgent message, that North Korea had boarded and captured USS Pueblo." People remember that? USS Pueblo. "Killing one sailor and taking the rest of the crew hostage. The Greene went back on station. At that time, I believe that it was the longest strategic deterrent patrol ever." James Lavoie is a regular member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Lavoie, welcome to the Holland Club. And thank you, Captain Gentry. MM1 SS Lee J. Adams. Lee joined our Navy in 1964. His first duty station was USS John W. Weeks, DD 701. Before he volunteered for submarine duty, Lee then reported to the USS Ethan Allen, SSBN 608, as an MM2 SU. He was assigned to Auxiliary Division. The boat was in the yards in Newport News, Virginia, undergoing an overhaul when he qualified in submarines in 1968 on board Ethan Allen. The skipper, Commander R.L. Hart, celebrated him as the first post-overhaul submarine qualification. Congratulations. After being advanced to MM1, Lee Adams became the leading petty officer for the Auxiliary Division. After completing 7 strategic deterrent patrols, Lee Adams was honorably discharged back in 1971. Lee recounts that the command nominated him for the warrant officer program, and he qualified on extra watch stations, including in-port duty chief. He volunteered to go to Vietnam as a riverboat skipper, but that request was denied due to all of the training he had undergone already. Looking back, that denial may have saved his life. At that point, Lee made the career decision to leave the Navy after 7.5 years. Having also developed an interest in law enforcement, Lee became a Connecticut State Trooper in 1972, was advanced to Sergeant in 1984, and retired back in 1992 after many different duty assignments. He looks back on his Navy career with great pride, specifically noting the people skills he learned on the Ethan Allen. That was all extremely useful in his state police career. Lee Adams is a regular member of the Sub-Vets Groton base. Shipmate Adams, welcome to the Holland Club. Thank you for your service as a Connecticut State Trooper as well. IC2SS, Glenn Appleton. So far, I love these easy names. I just wanted to declare that. I might actually make it. Glenn joined our Navy in 1973. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board. Yeah, I knew it. I jinxed myself. Kamehameha. Thank you. What he said, Kamehameha. Is that it? Thank you. Woo. That's SSBN 642 to me. Glenn left the Navy in 1977, having achieved the rank of Interior Communications Electrician, 2nd class submarines. Glenn tells us that he joined the Navy at a time in his life when he was actually searching for stability and a clear sense of purpose. The Navy offered him the opportunity to find structure and direction and build a meaningful career. And I think a lot of us would agree with those exact elements of what we've done in our military careers. And that's important for all of you up there as well. Hearing his father's stories about the submarine crews he had met while working at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, their camaraderie, dedication, and trust in one another sparked something within Glenn. He realized that he wanted to be a part of a community just like that, where teamwork and mutual respect were at the core of everything they did. When Glenn joined the submarine service, he found that he thrived under pressure. Graduating first in his class from the Basic Enlisted Submarine School was a moment he will never forget. It was proof that hard work and determination could lead to success. He was proud to know that he had earned his place in an elite group of professionals. Being a submariner meant being part of a team that valued excellence, and he carried that pride with him throughout his service. It wasn't just a job, it became a calling that actually shaped who he is today. Glenn Appleton is a life member of the Sub-Vets Groton base. Shipmate Appleton, welcome to the Holland Club. SK2SS Lonnie Lee Barham. Born and raised in the foothills of the Ozark Mountains in Great Arkansas, Lonnie had never seen an ocean until he joined the Navy. That sounds interesting. This sounds like a novel we're getting into. And that was back in 1965. After completing Basic Enlisted Submarine School, Lonnie served aboard the world's first nuclear submarine, Hoorah USS Nautilus, SSN 571, where he qualified in submarines back in 1968. Although he had joined the Navy to see the world, the only Liberty ports Nautilus visited during his years aboard were Norfolk, Virginia, Hamilton, Bermuda. Well, that's not bad. Bermuda, that must have been good. And, well, this one's not bad. Nassau, Bahamas. How many have been to Nassau, Bahamas? Sounds good. Lonnie's most memorable experience aboard Nautilus came when the ship collided with the aircraft carrier USS Essex off the coast of South Carolina back in 1966 while at periscope depth. The sail was torn off and the boat plunged downward. He and his shipmates thought they were heading to Davy Jones' locker. Fortunately, the skipper and the crew got the boat under control and back to the surface. After his active Navy service, Lonnie remained in the Navy Reserve and advanced to storekeeper second class submarines and was honorably discharged in 1972. Lonnie then served as Groton police officer and went to college at night. Lonnie graduated in 1976 and was commissioned a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army, where he served on active duty and in reserves for, listen to this, 36 years. That's incredible. In the Army, Lonnie finally got to see the world. Sounds like he may have had some better ports here or areas. Serving in Europe, Korea, and throughout the U.S., he also served a combat tour in Iraq, although that hadn't been on the list of places he wanted to visit. See the world. Lonnie's commanded troops at the platoon, company, battalion, and installation level. After his last duty assignment at the Pentagon, Lonnie retired from the Army in 2007 with the rank of Colonel. Lonnie Barham is a life member of Subvets Groton base shipmate. Barham, welcome to the Holland Club. And if I could have you come over for a moment, sir, I think it would be interesting. That had to be a hell of an experience when the sub interacted with that ship. I think you have a captive audience. Is there anything you could say about how scary that was?
Well, I'd just gotten off watch. I was up in the torpedo room where my rack was, about to get ready to sack out. And all of a sudden I was up against the bulkhead, and the boat took a tremendous down angle and listed to port about, 20, 30, 40 degrees, probably a 30, 40 degree down angle. And we had a depth gauge in the torpedo room, so we could see how deep we were going, and it was not pleasant. We were approaching crush depth, and we finally, the skipper, Commander Fogarty, great commander, got us under control, got us back up to the surface. We had to sail away about, 10 or 12 nautical miles because we had no communication with the surface because our sail had been ripped off. So we went a long way to make sure that we didn't surface under that aircraft carrier again, or a destroyer or another submarine on the surface. But anyway, it was quite the experience, and something I'll probably never forget.
Thank you, Lonnie. We appreciate that. Up next, MMC MSS Stanley L. Clarisi. Stanley Chop Clarisi was born and raised in Jeffersonville, Indiana, across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. He joined the Navy right out of high school in 1974. He volunteered for submarine duty on a Friday and had orders to basic enlisted submarine school the following Monday. Stanley recalls that starting his new life on that first boat was a shock. So many systems to understand and so many qual cards. But he got to work and qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Dace, SSN 607. Additionally, Stan served aboard USS Alexander Hamilton, USS Dallas, USS Fulton, and as plank owner aboard USS Nebraska. Shore duty assignments included Naval Submarine Support Facility, Naval Submarine School as an instructor, and the Senior Enlisted Academy. Stanley retired from the Navy as a Master Chief Machinist Mate, Submarines, in 1997 while on his second tour of duty at Naval Submarine Support Facility. Master Chief Clarisi is a regular member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Clarisi, welcome to the Holland Club. IC-1SS James L. Daniels. Jim joined our Navy in 1970. He qualified in submarines in 1973 on board USS George Washington, SSVN 598. Additionally, Jim served on board USS Robert E. Lee. Jim retired from the Naval Reserves in 1995. Jim relates that I had a great career in the Navy and I would not be the same person I am today without being in the Navy and qualifying in submarines. I was able to do things that hardly any of my high school classmates were able to imagine. At only 23 years old, go through the Panama Canal on the first submarine to submerge, launch a ballistic missile. That is awesome. Complete my submarine qualification in just one Polaris patrol. I worked on equipment more complex than any of my high school classmates could ever imagine. I was also able to work on some of the best commanders in the Navy, or for some of the best commanders in the Navy. David Minton, third, was the best. He completed a strategic deterrent patrol in the Mediterranean Sea out of Rota, Spain. I also worked for some of the best and some not so best, that's what it says here, leading petty officers. Finally, I completed my career in Groton in the Navy Reserve, and now I have TRICARE and a pension. Very good. Being in the Navy for all those years, I had some of the best times and some of the worst, but all in all, it was a wonderful, wonderful, great thing. James Daniels is also a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Daniels, welcome to the Holland Club. Command Master Chief SS Alfred Day Simone. How close? Okay. How about Al? Al joined our Navy in 1973 at the age of 17. As a child, he was fascinated with building submarine models like Skate, Nautilus, and Ethan Allen. In the 1960s, he enjoyed watching Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Sea Hunt. His fascination with submarines led him to volunteer for submarine duty. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Lafayette, SSVN 616, and this became one of his fondest memories. Another came in 1982 when his submarine broke. Oh, broke through the ice. See? See how I can be with a page slit? Split right down the middle. Broke through the ice. Didn't break, but broke through the ice. That's how we'll do it. This was actually actually at the North Pole, and I'm always intrigued with that. That is so cool. He was able to actually get out and walk on the ice with his shipmates. That had to be a hell of an experience. Al also served on board USS Fish, USS Burgle, USS Guitarro, and as chief of the boat on USS Houston. Certainly his most fulfilling submarine tour. Al's shore duty assignments included Naval Submarine Base Pearl Harbor, Naval Recruiting District Los Angeles, on the staff of Commander Submarine Squadron 3 at Naval Submarine Base San Diego, and finally at Naval Submarine Base Point Loma in San Diego. Master Chief D. Simone retired from active duty back in 2003. Al is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate D. Simone, welcome to the Holland Club. He said close. All right. Thanks. ETR-2SS, Joseph D. Luiso. Uh-oh. How do I say it? Deluzio. I tried to roll it too. Okay. Joe joined our Navy back in 1970. He served on board USS Sturgeon, SSN 637, where he qualified in submarines back in 1974. He was honorably discharged in 1976. Joe recalls that his involvement with submarines started at the age of 13, when he learned that his neighbor, who was 23, was serving in the Navy on board USS Thresher. Okay. He did not know ETR-2 Reshetsky well, just an occasional hello. He learned about the loss of Thresher when he saw a black curtain draped over the neighbor's front door. Wow. His father explained to him what happened and why the front door was draped. Undeterred, Joe volunteered for submarine duty and served our great country. Joseph D. Lucio is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate De Lucio, welcome to the Holland Club. MM-1SS David A. Dvorak. David was born in Groton at the Submarine Base Hospital. That should be an auto-in. So he was around submarines at an early age. David's father was a chief engine man on submarines and retired back in 1958. David joined our Navy in 1972 after recovering from severe injuries that he suffered in a motorcycle accident. He wanted to be stationed on the West Coast, but the Navy thought differently. Doesn't it always go that way? He started out in surface ships and served aboard USS Brownson, USS Fulton as well, before volunteering for submarines. He qualified in submarines back in 1975 on board USS Tullabee, SSN 597. As you can see, David is 6 foot 5 inches tall, so he certainly learned to duck his head while serving on Tullabee, one of the smaller nuclear submarines in our history. Dvorak was honorably discharged back in in 1978, David recalls that he made 3 med deployments in 4 years and various other operations. He says, I made a lot of lifelong friends and shipmates during my 6-year enlistment. David Dvorak is also a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Dvorak, welcome to the Holland Club. EN3SS Stephen C. Garman. Stephen joined our Navy back in 1969. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Clemagore, SS-343. Additionally, he served aboard USS Burgall, SSN-667. Garman was honorably discharged in 1976. Stephen relates the story. I was an engineman, 3rd class, assigned to the Clemagore. On reporting aboard, I had 1 foot in cast since I had just broken an ankle playing football a few days before. RM2 Gary Kobler dubbed me Lefoot. And it stuck with me. Lefoot. I stood engine room watches, trim manifold operator, and was named the Fuel Oil King. Upon qualifying for my Dolphins on Clemagore, it was the proudest and greatest day of my naval career. Stephen Garman is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Lefoot Garman, welcome to the Holland Club. MM2SS Wayne Gates. Wayne comes from a military family. His father was a World War II veteran who served on board USS West Virginia at Pearl Harbor and was transferred off in June 1941, just 6 months before the Japanese attack. That haunted him all his life, knowing that many friends were killed. Wayne's dad retired after 20 years of active duty, then 10 more in inactive reserve. Wayne's uncle was a retired Air Force veteran, and a second uncle was killed in World War II during the battle near Arnhem, Holland, striving for what was called the Bridge Too Far. Wayne remembers his dad coming home in uniform. After he retired, he always spoke highly of his Navy service, so as a kid, Wayne knew just what he wanted to do. Wayne joined our Navy back in 1971. He told the recruiter he wanted to be on an aircraft carrier. The recruiter sent him for testing, and not long after, he was headed for nuclear submarine duty. Wayne says, to this day, I can't thank him enough. Wayne qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS George E.C. Marshall, SSBN 654. Additionally, he served on board USS Philadelphia, SSN 690. Wayne was honorably discharged in 1977, then spent most of his civilian career working in the nuclear industry. Wayne is a life member of Subvets Groton Base and also a legacy life member of VFW Post 5849, and he is the treasurer for the East Line Veterans Council. Shipmate Gates, welcome to the Holland Club. MM1SS Raymond A. Hamilton, Jr. Ray joined our Navy in 1972. He started out in surface ships and served aboard USS Hollister DD-788 and USS Howard W. Gilmore as 16 before volunteering for submarines. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Skate, SSN 578, and only the third nuclear submarine ever built. Skate still had a flat teak deck, bow planes before they became popular again, and a stern room. Additionally, he served on board USS John Marshall, SSBN 611, and 4 strategic deterrent patrols at the onset of the Cold War. Ray left the Navy as a machinist mate first class submarines in 1980. In reflection, Hamilton states, "The entire 51 years was a ride. I am honored and tickled to have not missed." Hoo-yah! Raymond Hamilton is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. He has served our Groton Base as the Public Affairs Officer. Shipmate Hamilton, welcome to the Holland Club. Lieutenant Commander David D. Harper. After graduating from high school and not wanting to continue with education, David did not go to college. Instead, he hired on at the paper company where his father worked. The $2 per hour pay rate soon convinced him that there must be a better career somewhere. So he joined our beloved Navy back in 1973. In boot camp, he was selected for signalman, not his preferred rating. So he again sought a better career path, volunteering for submarines. He attended Quartermaster A School and then reported to USS Stonewall Jackson, SSBN 634, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. Soon afterward, he married his wife Susan. After shore duty in Tacoma, Washington, David then served on the USS Sam Rayburn, SSBN 635, completing a total of 14 strategic deterrent patrols between the two boats, and was advanced to Chief Petty Officer. He was the commissioning crew assistant navigator on board USS Providence, SSN 719, when he was selected and commissioned as a limited duty officer. As an officer, David served in USS Pigeon, ASR-21, and USS Fulton, AS-11, and then on the staff of Commander, Submarine Development Squadron 12. In his next position as the Port Services Officer here at the Naval Submarine Base, Groton, he had the honor of working with hundreds of outstanding submariners and base personnel, including the absolute best Command Master Chief, John Goomba. Hey. He later served as Port Operations Officer at Naval Station Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and then transferred to the Navy Bureau of Personnel in Washington, D.C., where he was part of the move to Millington, Tennessee. David Harper retired from active duty in 2001. Harper tells us, "During my submarine service as an enlisted sailor and as a commissioned officer, I worked with the most talented people in the Navy, married the best possible person of my entire lifetime, and had 3 outstanding children. Life has been good." David Harper is a regular member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Harper, welcome to the Holland Club. Captain Richard H. Hartman. Richard joined our Navy in 1963 after attending Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California, and the nuclear power training pipeline. He served a brief stint on USS Clamagore, SS-343, and then qualified in submarines in 1966 on board USS Torsk, SS-423. Additional submarine assignments included USS Simon Bolivar, SSBN 641, PCU Guitarro, SSN 665, USS Hawkbill, SSN 666, and USS Permit, SSN 594. He commanded USS Jack, SSN 605, and the commissioning crew of USS Albuquerque, SSN 706. After serving as commanding officer of USS Fulton, AS-11, he retired from active duty in 1994. Captain Hartman reflects, because of the Polaris submarine buildup in the 1960s, Admiral Rickover ordered all technical major attendees at the Naval Postgraduate School, Monterey, California, to come for interviews where he ordered them to join the nuclear-powered program or leave the Navy. My first orders were to attend nuclear power school at the Mare Island, or is it Mare Island? Mare Island, thank you. Naval Shipyard in California. The new bride and I were spending the night at her grandparents' home in Boulder, Colorado, when my orders were rewritten to report to Naval Submarine School to begin the training pipeline there. I was an ensign in a class of 125 officers, mostly lieutenants and lieutenant commanders, plus a few commanders. When I finished nuclear power training, all of those other officers who were senior to me were ordered to operational submarines, where they were to qualify as engineering officer of the watch, then report to schools leading to XO or command. All of us junior officers had to report to diesel boats. Isn't that funny how the Navy works? Captain Richard Hartman is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Hartman, welcome to the Holland Club. Lieutenant James C. Hedke. Jim joined our Navy in 1971. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Flying Fish, SSN 673. Shore duty included instructor assignments at the U.S. Naval Nuclear Power School. Oh, gosh. Mayor? All right. 50-50. Mare Island, California, and U.S. Naval Nuclear Power School, Orlando, Florida, where he taught reactor plant theory and electrical theory to enlisted sailors, and also aspects of reactor operations to officer students. Hedke was honorably discharged back in 1977. Jim relates the story that on the advice of a colleague, he investigated the Navy nuclear power program because he didn't want to be relocated to Vietnam. The last of 4 interviews in Washington, D.C. was with Admiral Rickover. Rickover? Thank you. See, don't be shy. I want to get this right. This is how the interview went. Rickover. Why do you want to be in my Navy? Headkey, because you have a good program. Rickover, bullshit. You just don't want to go to Vietnam. Headkey, and it still goes here. Headkey, I'm not going to Vietnam. I have a job deferment. Rickover, I don't believe you. Then he says, call my draft board. Rickover, I will. Go stand out in a hall while I call them. That was at 2 p.m. After standing in the hall until 5 p.m., some commander walked by and asked what he was doing there. Headkey told him. Then the commander said, Admiral Rickover has gone home. He would have still been standing there, it sounds like. What do I do now? The commander asked him his name and checked his list of Rickover rejects. Then he said, you aren't on here. I guess you made it. Jim, what a story. Jim Headkey is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Headkey, welcome to the Holland Club. HMCMSS Rex E. Henderson. Rex was born in Michigan City, Indiana, and was raised in Minnesota. His father was a chief aviation boatswain's mate. Boatswain's mate? You know what I mean. In the Naval Reserve. Heck, I couldn't say it when I was in either. Rex joined the Naval Air Reserve in March 1957 and began active duty in 1960. After boot camp and hospital corps school, his first duty station was in Great Lakes, Illinois. From there, he went to Advanced Hospital Corpsman Independent Duty School in San Diego. In 1964, he volunteered for submarine duty and attended Naval Submarine Medicine School and Basic Enlisted Submarine School. He was assigned to USS Daniel Boone, SSBN 692, where he qualified in submarines in 1966. He made 10 strategic deterrent patrols and was advanced to Chief Petty Officer. In 1970, he transferred to shore duty at the Navy and Marine Corps Reserve Training Center, Twin Cities, Minnesota. Rex met and married his wife Sandy Jean Martin in 1971. A personal and career highlight, he says, Rex then served on board USS Plunger, SSN 595, and attended Olympic College in Bremerton, Washington, and returned to shore duty on the Commander Submarine Squadron 10 staff. Rex then served as Command Master Chief at Naval Medical Commands here in beautiful Groton and in Bethesda, Maryland. And then went to Naval Personnel Command as the Senior HM Detailer. Rex returned to the Naval Submarine Medical Center, Groton, as a Command Master Chief, from which he retired from active duty in 1990 with a ceremony at the historic ship Nautilus. Master Chief Henderson is a regular member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Henderson, welcome to the Holland Club. Command Master Chief SS Daniel C. Hubert. Dan joined our Navy in 1962. He qualified in submarines on the submarine birthday 10 April 1964 on board USS Halfbeak, SS-352. Additionally, Dan served on board USS Bea, SS-318, USS Gato, SSN Skato, SSN-615, and as chief of the boat on USS Dace, SSN-607. Dan's shore duty assignments included recruiter in charge, Biddeford, Maine, submarine squadron 10, career counselor, command master chief, submarine development squadron 12, and command master chief, submarine group 8 in Naples, Italy. That'd be tough. Master Chief Huber retired from active duty in 1991. Master Chief Huber tells us, my first impression of the submarine service came as I reported aboard Half-Beak at State Pier in New London. I handed my orders to the topside watch so he could log me in. As he did that, a sailor came forward. It was hard to recognize his rank at first, since he was wearing dungarees with a khaki belt and, a chief hat. Senior Chief Hugel said the insignia on my sleeve and delightedly welcomed me to his auxiliary division. As we spoke, another chief up from below came up and approached us. This was Senior Chief Anderson, the COB. He announced that I would be going to the galley as a mess attendant at Crank. Yes, mess Crank. The topside watch gave me a look that said, back away, so I did. The two senior chiefs waged a war of words, their faces no more than a foot apart, claiming owners of my young fireman's body. Eventually, A Division won out. They were so short-handed, they were port and starboard while underway. That was hard work, but I must admit that it did help me get qualified a heck of a lot faster. And I never did any mess cooking in my Navy career. Master Chief Huber is a life member of Subvet's Groton base. Shipmate Huber, welcome to the Holland Club. Lieutenant Charles A. Kappelman. Charlie grew up in rural America, the Nebraska-South Dakota border, and had an early interest in submarines and diesel engines. He watched the TV series The Silent Service religiously, also the movie Run Silent, Run Deep. He attended college for a year and then enrolled in an automotive school in Laramie, Wyoming. However, like many young men in the 1960s, he decided to enlist in the Navy in 1967 to avoid being drafted and sent to Vietnam. Despite his interest in being a submarine engineman, he did so well on the electronics section of the testing that he was selected for electronics technician training. After completing his A school, he then went to Naval Submarine School. On his way to Groton, he visited his parents during the same time that the USS Scorpion was lost at sea. After more electronics training, he reported to USS Will Rogers, SSBN 659, where he qualified in submarines in 1970. He made 6 strategic deterrent patrols, went to a sea school in Dam Neck, Virginia, and then returned to the Will Rogers for 2 more patrols. He re-enlisted for instructor duty at Naval Submarine School. Charlie was advanced to Chief Petty Officer and then was selected for a commission. He served on board USS Fulton and then at Naval Submarine School at Submarine Surveillance Electronics Program at Atlantic and at the Board of Inspection and Survey in Washington, D.C. Lieutenant Kappelman retired from the active duty time in 1988. Charlie Kappelman is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Kappelman, welcome to the Holland Club. M1SS Doug Costlin. Doug grew up as a child of a farmer in a small rural town in Iowa. After high school, he planned to attend college and pursue a degree in industrial arts, but couldn't figure out how to pay for it. So Doug joined our Navy in 1971. He served on board USS Greenling, SSN 614, and qualified, bless you, and qualified in submarines in 1975 while the boat was in the Med at Santo Stefano Island, where the commanding officer pinned on his dolphins, which were then tacked on by his shipmates. Doug Costlin was honorably discharged in 1977. He tells us, "My time on the boat allowed me to visit and experience many interesting places. A few that stand out to visit, to Rome and getting blessed by the Pope." Really? Amen. Meeting Jimmy Pistoli in Naples. Playing golf at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, where you had to stay out of the rough because of the landmines. And also being transported off the boat at Andros Island, Bahamas, and flying home to attend my parents' 25th wedding anniversary. Also, during my time on Greenling, I became both a blue nose, all right, and a shellback. Welcome. All pretty amazing for a kid from a small rural town in Iowa. Looking back, the best decision I made was to go Navy nuclear power because it prepared me academically to later get an engineering degree and to serve on a submarine because of the experiences and lessons learned. My whole career, I was surrounded and supported by great people, enlisted and officers. Doug Costlin is a primary member of Subvets
Placoderm.
Thank you. Placoderm base in Des Moines, and that's in Iowa, obviously, and a dual member of Groton base. Shipmate Costlin, welcome to the Holland Club. And then M1SS Dennis R. Lates. Born and raised in Rochester, New York, Doc joined our Navy in 1971. He hoped to emulate his father, who served as an electrician in the Navy during World War II. His test scores in boot camp proved to be high in engineering disciplines, and he requested to be an electrician's mate and join the submarine service. However, when his orders were issued, he was sent to machinist mate A School. Go figure. There's a trend like that here so far. After completing his training, Doc served on board USS Will Rogers, SSBN 659, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. Additionally, Dennis served on board USS John Marshall, SSBN 611, before he was honorably discharged in 1977. Dennis tells us, my training and experience in the Navy enabled me to have a lengthy career in commercial nuclear power. I am currently employed by General Dynamics Electric Boat as a procedure writer for the new Columbia-class submarines. That is pretty awesome. Dennis Lates is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Lates, welcome to the Holland Club. Hope your foot feels better as well. MM2SS Frederick B. Nellums. Fred enlisted in our Navy in July 1973. He attended boot camp and machinist mate A School in Great Lakes, followed by Navy Submarine School. He was assigned to USS
Kamehameha.
Kamehameha? Yes. I should just stick with SSBN 642, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. He made 6 strategic deterrent patrols on the CAM, that sounds good as well, while the ship was forward-based out of Rota, Spain. Fred Nellums was honorably discharged from the Navy in 1977. Fred is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Nellums, welcome to the Holland Club. FTG-3SS Robert H. Nelson. Bob grew up in the Norwich, New London area, so he always had an interest in the Navy and submarines. His best friend's dad was chief of the boat on USS Nautilus and then USS James K. Polk. Bob joined our Navy in 1966 and served on board USS Cusk SS-348, where he qualified in submarines in 1967. Bob made 2 Westpac patrols during the Vietnam War, earning the Vietnam Service Medal with 2 stars. He received the letter of commendation for his photographic reconnaissance work during a covert operation. A special note, this operation required that Cusk sit on the sea bottom for 30 days. When the Cusk was decommissioned in 1969, Bob donated the conning tower, conning tower depth gauge to the Submarine Force Museum. Bob Nelson was honorably discharged in 1969. Bob is a regular member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Nelson, welcome to the Holland Club. MM1SS Richard W. Poole. Richard was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Augusta. Okay. I'm sorry about that. It says Atlanta, but I'm going to go with you. Augusta, Georgia. Shortly after graduating from high school, I believe in Augusta, Georgia, in 1971 he enlisted in our Navy and requested the nuclear power program. Beginning his active duty in 1972, after boot camp schools and training, he volunteered for the submarine service. Richard joined the USS George Washington Carver, SSBN 656, where he qualified in submarines in 1974 and made several strategic deterrent patrols. Additionally, Richard volunteered to support the M Division on board USS Benjamin Franklin, SSBN 640, where he completed one additional strategic deterrent patrol. He was honorably discharged in 1977. Richard tells us, "I am proud to have served my country and proud of my Dolphins." Richard Poole is a regular member of Subvet's Groton base. Shipmate Poole, welcome to the Holland Club. Beautiful Augusta. MCSSS Maurice L. Price II. Maury joined our Navy in 1972. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Benjamin Franklin as well. Additionally, Maury served on board USS Sam Rayburn, SSBN 635, USS Nautilus, USS Atlanta, SSN 712, USS Ulysses S. Grant, SSBN 631, and USS Annapolis, SSN 760. His shore duty assignments included USS Canopus at Canopus, Augusta, Gil Simmons, Navy. All right, let's get back to it here. As I was saying, and on the staff of the Commander Submarine Group 2, Senior Chief Price retired from the Navy in 1993. Maury states it was an honor and a privilege to bring the historic ship Nautilus back from Vallejo, I believe is it? Of course, California, through the Panama Canal to Groton, Connecticut. That is awesome. That must have been something else. To be open to the public. Maury Price is a life member of Subvet's Groton base and also served the Groton base as a bartender for several years. Very good. Shipmate Price, welcome to the Holland Club. PNCSS Frank J. Rowe. From Newark, New Jersey, Frank joined the Navy in 1965. After a frigid boot camp in Great Lakes, Frank drove crash trucks at Ellison Field in Pensacola, Florida, transferring to NAS QB Point, Philippines. He continued in crash crew and had the runway wheels watch when USS Forrestal limped into port after its devastating fire back in July 1967. Frank had one semester of typing in school, and that got him into the public affairs office and then the personal men rating. After A school, Frank served with Attack Squadron 64 on board USS Independence CV-62. While at NAS Whiting Field, he met his wife Laura and retired submarine radioman Billy Maple, who alerted him that personnel men were needed in submarines. So he actually volunteered for subs, attended Naval Submarine School, and reported to USS von Steuben, SSN 632, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. Additionally, he made strategic deterrent patrols on board the USS Henry L. Stimson, SSBN 655, and then as the leading yeoman on board USS Francis Scott Key, SSBN 657. Frank then headed down south to shore duty at the Enlisted Personnel Management Center in New Orleans. There he also attended the Police Academy and became a Jefferson Parish Reserve Deputy Sheriff. Finally, Frank moved back north, where he intended to spend one tour on the USS Will Rogers, SSBN 659, and then return to the south. Instead, he served another shore duty tour at Personnel Support Detachment New London, and then retired from active duty back in 1988. He stayed in Gales Ferry with his wife Laura and children Kathleen and Skip. They now have 7 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren, with another on the way. Frank Rowe is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Shipmate Rowe, welcome to the Holland Club. M1SS Mark V. Stern. Mark joined the Navy in 1970. He qualified in submarines in 1975 on board USS Glenard P. Lipscomb, SSN 685. Mark was honorably discharged back in 1976. He tells us growing up in rural upstate New York during the Vietnam War, the main topic of conversation was the draft. Most of the guys I knew were either heading to college or getting drafted right out and after high school. I decided to visit the recruiting offices on Liberty Street in Schenectady to talk with the recruiters. After taking my aptitude test and scoring well, the Navy recruiter introduced me to the idea of submarines and nuclear power. This seemed like a much better option than Vietnam, so I joined the Navy, and the rest is history. While in boot camp, my dad sent me a letter with my draft notice enclosed. Apparently, the Army wanted to know why I hadn't shown up for my induction. I handed the notice to my company commander and never heard another word about it. Mark Stern is a life member of Subvets Groton Base. Mark served Groton Base as a bartender for several years and also as a base treasurer. We could have a hell of an after party with the 2 guys up here. Shipmate Stern, welcome to the Holland Club. TMCSS, Scott M. Thompson. Scott Thompson joined our Navy in 1974 thinking he would only do 4 years and earn some educational benefits. He couldn't decide on what he actually wanted to do when he grew up, so he completed 20 years of active duty while he thought about it. So, after the training pipeline, Scott reported to USS William H. Bates, SSN 680, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. Additionally, Scott served on board USS Indianapolis, SSN 697, USS Jack, SSN 605, USS City of Corpus Christi, SSN 705, and USS Columbus, SSN 762. Shore duty duty assignments included Navy Submarine Training Center Pacific and 2 tours on the staff of Commander Submarine Development Squadron 12. Scott retired from active duty in 1994. Scott tells us that his wife Jane was by his side all the way. Without her, I never would have made it through 4 years, let alone 20 while on board. While on board Indianapolis for new construction duty, Scott joined Subvets and met the founder of Subvets, Joe Negri. Thank you. You guys are the best, and gals. They spent some afternoon watching soap operas, eating chili, and enjoying a cool one. He learned early on that you don't talk to Joe until a commercial comes on. But it's worth the wait. Joe's great stories. Some other highlights of Scott's career included going through the Big Ditch twice, sharing laughs. Now, what is the Big Ditch? That's not Panama? Panama Canal? Yep. I too have done that. Twice. Sharing laughs and tears with survivors of the original USS Indianapolis CA-35 from World War II, and being the diving officer of the watch with astronaut Captain David Walker, the program officer for the International Space Station. That's pretty cool. As his trainee on the helm and planes, which the astronaut described as much harder than flying the space shuttle. Pretty cool. And of course, many more memories we can't discuss. Scott Thompson is a regular member of Subvet's Groton base. Shipmate Thompson, welcome to the Holland Club. And M2SS Robert W. Wallace. When Bob was in high school, President Kennedy encouraged America's youth to take an interest in the sciences. Accepting that challenge, Bob studied chemistry, physics, and the peaceful use of atomic energy. After a year in engineering college, he learned of the Navy's nuclear power program, where his brother J.R. Wallace was already serving in a submarine. In 1965, Bob joined our Navy and attended Machinist Mate A School, the Nuclear Power Training Pipeline, and Naval Submarine School. His first assignment was to join his brother on board, that's pretty cool, USS Henry L. Stimson, SSBN 655, where he qualified in submarines in 1968, somewhere north of Norway. After 7 strategic deterrent patrols, Robert Wallace was honorably discharged in 1971. He reflects that during my time on Stimson, my learning path ran through the engineering department and throughout the boat. Meanwhile, I taught myself celestial navigation and mustered out with the intention of sailing around the world. First, I became an engineer on tugboats, then advanced to the wheelhouse. Finally, I became captain on several oceanographic research vessels, and for the next 35 years led voyages all over the world. My experience in submarines was especially important to my civilian career. The idea of qualifying on the boat is not universal in the commercial world, but I encouraged the idea in all my crew. Equally important, I incorporated the concept of shipmate and its attendant responsibilities in all my crew training, both for ship crew and visiting scientists. In that way, my submarine service provided a strong foundation for my professional discipline and philosophies out at sea. Robert Wallace is a regular member of Subvet's Groton base. Shipmate Wallace, welcome to the Holland Club.
US.Submarines veteran, Holland Club, Groton base, honorary qualified in submarines. Presented to Chief Meteorologist for News 8, Gil Simmons. Presented with deep appreciation for members of the Groton base Holland Club for being honorary qualified as a Marine in submarines.
All the jokes will fly.
At our yearly base Holland Club induction for our submarine veterans. Holland Club induction, Naval Submarine Base, Groton, Connecticut. Presented the 7th day of June 2025, Groton, Connecticut.
That is incredible.
And you will go in the Holland Club with those kids up there in 50 years.
Somebody take a picture with this. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Now we can break it. Thank you. I thought I was getting an award for reading through all that, but this is better. Thank you so much.
It's the best, Gil. It's the best, not better.
Got it. Uh-oh, we better have somebody else. I want to be in it. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Here we go. Somebody said they don't do that stuff anymore, do they? You know how it goes now. You can't do that stuff. What about going over the waiter? They tone that down, right?
And Admiral Van Poots, for you, I have a copy of the program. I know there's not a lot of reserve officers who understand what Holland Club is, but we thank you for your support here today, and as always, for Groton Base.
I would like to invite Subvet's National Commander, John Jakes, to say a few words.
I am John Jakes, and I am the National Commander of Subvets. It's great to be back with the submarine veteran family in the submarine capital of the world. We have a unique history, a unique bond. We share camaraderie. We share memories and friendships that last a lifetime. For you up in the balcony, this is just the start. Let me give you an example. This morning before my alarm went off, I got a ding on my phone. The Western Region Commander, his name is Pete Ujos. He's over in Barcelona, Spain. He ran into a chief yeoman who was on a submarine out of San Diego, and now today they're traveling Barcelona together, having just that common bond of being submarine sailors. 2 weeks ago, I was in Houston flying back from Nashville, and a man came up to me and goes, "Are you a submarine sailor? I always wear a ball cap when I fly or travel." I said, "I am. I was on the Ohio First Training Class back in the early 80s. And he said, "Would you mind doing me a favor? Could you watch my luggage and my carry-on while I run to the head and go to get a coffee and get a sandwich?" I said, "Sure." So he brought it over to me, and he's gone about 20 minutes. And finally he comes back and he said, "Thank you, shipmate." And I got on my plane, and we were delayed because of weather, and I was thinking, that guy didn't know me. He didn't know anything about me, didn't know my name, didn't know I was National Commander of Subvets. But the thing that he knew is that somebody didn't just hand me dolphins, that somebody had found trust in me, and just out of the blue, he knew that he could rely on me to keep track of his things. So SubVets is just a marvelous group. I'm amazed being National Commander at the compassion and the caring that we have for shipmates and the friendships. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago today, there was a tornado that came through London, Kentucky. It killed 19 people because the tornado came through in the middle of the night. The next day, at my office, we had 15 or 20 calls from different submarine shipmates around the country saying, is there anything we can do? There was one submarine guy in Corbin, Kentucky, which was about 15 miles away. He said, hey, if anybody needs help, I've got a disaster recovery team at my church. We would love to help them. Just out of the blue. We just had a guy that had his leg amputated and he needed a wheelchair ramp. I called the base. The base talked to some people at their church. The church and the base built this guy who's a submarine veteran, not a member of US.SVI, but they built him a wheelchair ramp. We had another shipmate whose air conditioning went out. He reached out to his base commander. The base commander reached out to the charitable fund. We have a brotherhood fund. They were able to give him a $500 gift card to Home Depot for his new air conditioner. I see it all the time, just the camaraderie, the friendship, people your age still valuing this relationship. One of my favorite stories for young people, my daughter graduated as a chemical engineer from the University of South Carolina. She went to a job interview at a plastic and polymer company down in Texas. And the guy that was going to make the decision whether to hire her or not had a Trident submarine model on the credenza next to his desk. And so she asked him, she said, are you a submarine guy? He said, I was on the Florida in the mid-1980s. My daughter says, well, my dad was on the Ohio in the mid-1980s. And they struck up a conversation. And my daughter told me, she said, I saw the look in his eye and I knew he was going to hire me. And the only reason that he hired her, I'm hoping that she was qualified, is because there was a relationship within this family. This is a great family. Since I've been National Commander and I've seen how all 165 bases are working together, how they're taking care of shipmates, how they're helping other people, it is amazing to me what we're doing for each other. So you in the balcony, you're going to be lifelong friends with people that you serve with. My captain went on to be 3-star. He was sub-pack. And after he was out of the Navy, I would call him from time to time, and we would engage in a conversation, and we were friends. My Cobb, when I got to the Ohio, I was 19 years old. I just turned 19 years old. The Ohio was very top-heavy. I think we had 5 machinist mate chiefs in A-gang, and everybody wanted to be on the first of the Trident class. We were so top-heavy. But the Cobb was 43 years old, and he had qualified in 1958. He was on the halibut during Ivy Bells, if you know what that is. He has stories to tell. But he and I have developed a friendship that has lasted more than 40 years. And whenever he's passing through the Middle Tennessee area, he'll call and say, hey, can I stay at your house? Sure. And that's what we have in common. This is a family function, and it's great to be part of this family. I'll leave you with this final thought. My dad told me as a young man, he said, if you want to increase your happiness and joy, increase the number of people that you consider family. And that's what we are. We are the submarine family. Thank you.
SubVets Holland Club Class of 2025. Retrieve your Holland Club ball cap from the bag beneath your seats.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
All right. Class of 2025, please stand. 2. Subvet's Eastern Region Director, Jeff Walsh, will read the Subvet's creed. And Sub-School Command Master Chief Michael McKelly will lead the Navy Submarine School and all sailors in the Sailor's Creed.
Perpetuate the memory of the shipmates who lost their lives during World War II. And keep the memory, keep the spirit and unity that existed among United States submarine sailors during World War. To promote sociability, general welfare, and good fellowship among its members. They pledge loyalty and patriotism to the United States government. How about this? That's it.
Perpetuate the memory of our shipmates who gave their lives and pursued their duties, that their dedication, deeds, and supreme sacrifice create a constant source of motivation to pledge loyalty and patriotism to the United States of America and its Constitution.
Please welcome back the chairman of the Subvets Groton-based Holland Club, John C.
Please be seated. Master Chief Goulas, thank you for a phenomenal job as Master of Ceremonies. Let's give Master Chief Goulas a round of applause. Please be seated. I'd also like to thank Captain Curtin, the sub-base team, for all of their help with our Holland Club induction ceremony. My sincere thanks to Admiral Goucher, Admiral Van Poots, John Jakes, and all of our subvets volunteers for their help. I can't do this alone, and I had a great team to help me through this. Please stand if you're one of the volunteers. Please stand and be recognized. I'd like to provide some special recognition to 3 people that helped me immensely. The first is Kim Beagle, Holland Club Support. The next would be Carl Franzoni, my assistant chairman. Carl, come out here. Carl was my editor-in-chief, taking all the bios and editing the bios. He just did a phenomenal job with that, so thank you, Carl. And the rest of my stage crew, come on out here, please. Chief Riley Frank and Master Chief Dominic Grimaldi and Master of the stage, I tell everybody he runs the stage like a general, Greg Kane. Thank you all. A couple of announcements, quick announcements. First, immediately following the ceremony, as we mentioned before, we would like a group photo of today's inductees on the front steps of Dealey Center with Admiral Van Poots. Second, the buses will start making runs back to the museum and Nautilus parking lot after the group photo. Last but not least, we invite all of you to join us for a reception at the Subvets Clubhouse at 40 School Street in Groton. Due to the very limited parking at the clubhouse, we ask that you drop off your guests at the clubhouse and then park at the World War II Submarine Memorial at 37 Bridge Street, and we will have a bus making a loop to get you to the clubhouse and back to your vehicles. Please join us there. Subvets Groton-based Chaplain Earl Colella will give the benediction.
Cover, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you at the conclusion of this induction ceremony as grateful people. We thank you for your countless blessings upon all of us. We pray that our ceremony today was meaningful to each of us and our organization. We ask that you place your healing hands upon the sick and wrap your arms of comfort around those who are grieving. Bless us as we endeavor to do something worthwhile in the name of the United States submarine veterans. We ask that you keep your healing and protective hands upon all U.S. military personnel, their families, our families, and all of us until we meet again. Amen. Amen.
This concludes our ceremony. To facilitate the group photo, we ask to please remain in your seats until the inductees and VIPs have departed Dealey Center. Thank you all for coming and have a great Navy Day. See you all outside on the plaza.